Chinese company must also pay a $280,000 fine for filing disclosures late.
Coming up, an attack on a synagogue in Berlin. Find out what Germany's chancellor says on the Molotov attacks.
I knew this shit was going to go on.
Footage of nearly 200 aircraft intercepts.
He was followed by 2 Russian naval officers in uniform, each carrying a briefcase in Beijing. Russia's nuclear briefcase is traditionally carried by a naval officer. It's with the president at all times, but is rarely filmed. Still to come tonight. And as Europe's population ages, the World Health Organization says it's essential to adopt healthier lifestyles. See you after the break.
Years ago, Israel took the brave step of dismantling Israeli settlements in Gaza.
How well they're treating them when they're the ones who hurt them in the first place.
He added that the video should be considered an attempt by Hamas to portray itself in a positive light rather than proof that the hostage is alive.
Israeli military has also condemned the video as an attempt by Hamas to bolster its reputation. That's after much of the world was shocked by the terror group's slaughter of civilians.
An Israeli forensic team this week analyzed victims in an Israeli community targeted by the terrorists. The team says around 80% of the victims had signs of torture. That includes children. Authorizing U.S.
They say the authorization draft only exists in case the need arises, and that it might never actually be marked up.
Secretary Austin now has 2,000 Marines and Expeditionary Force off the coast of, Gaza and Israel. I'd say northern Israel near Hezbollah, as a deterrent to ensure that Hezbollah does not invade Israel. We don't want that to happen. I hope I never have to mark up, as we say, my authorization of use of military force, but I have to be prepared for that situation.
The congressman would not say if the White House asked him for the authorization, but he stressed that the draft was only being prepared in the event it becomes necessary.
He mentioned that the draft pressed for Europe to step up its security and defence.
The BBC is facing criticism for not calling Hamas terrorists in their coverage of the Israel war. Hundreds of people gathered outside the BBC yesterday evening, waving Israeli flags, chanting and praying. Here's more. Here outside the BBC, people are protesting against the BBC using the term militant to describe Hamas. Organised by the National Jewish Assembly, they say that as Hamas was prescribed as a terrorist organisation by the UK, the BBC should be calling them terrorists.
Countries the U.S. says promote terrorism or pose potential national security threats. Migrants with this designation are subjected to stricter vetting and questioning after being apprehended. Last week, Border Patrol agents detained 2 Lebanese nationals in Eagle Pass, who are also considered special interest aliens. Agents have apprehended 19 Iranians and 17 Syrians since Monday in the separate Rio Grande Valley sector.
Florida Governor Ron forces used water cannons and tear gas to disperse protesters who started blocking the fence. More protests were also staged outside Israel's embassies in Turkey and Jordan. Around 500 people reportedly died in the blast on the hospital in Gaza, which drew condemnation across the Arab world. Protests also occurred in Iraq and multiple European cities, including London, Madrid, Rome and Stockholm. Authorities in France and Germany have banned pro-Palestinian rallies due to the likelihood of such gatherings disturbing public order. Gaza authorities say Israel's military was responsible for the hospital bombing, which occurred during a massive Israeli bombardment in retaliation for the October 7th Hamas attacks. Israeli authorities denied involvement in the strike, saying terrorists of the Islamic Jihad militants had fired a barrage of rockets near the hospital. and that intelligence from multiple sources indicated the group was responsible. According to the UN, roughly half of Gaza's population have now fled their homes, with many now in the approximately 8-mile-long stretch south of the evacuation zone. Kostan Enes, NTD News.
And now,
but we are going to win. You have and always have the support of the United States.
And all
Resumed construction comes as the Border Patrol encountered more than 227,000 people crossing the southwest border in just the month of September. In a Thursday notice on the Federal Register, Department of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas said there's an immediate need to construct physical barriers to prevent unlawful entries into the United States.